I know I need this little elbow thingy to make the vent come out.
Just like
You only do metal, right?
Susan, let me know when I can share.
Yes.
What are we more mounted to?
I think everybody needs to work.
Oh,
And that's all, I don't think we're ever, I don't think, I say we're ever gonna get there. Four different areas.
Familiar with that, but then.
Listen.
Let's go ahead and put the pool in. Yeah.
What are y'all presenting?
I have bids.
When did you have?
That was a.
Survival in the, yeah.
I think that got to.
Yeah. We have a.
I should have. I have a more than yours there. All right, I'll share it with you. CFCI account.
Oh, yeah.
And it should be at the bottom of your email. To work, but it's so much easier. So I agree to this other situation. And my parents were not as much.
Oh, you taught that same group before?
Not absolutely.
It's just a lesson.
Sixth grade now, from last year. I think the teacher had extended You don't?
I'm glad it's here, especially now. I mean, we do a little of it. They don't really, it's online. How long has it been?
Try to do some.
Oh,
Second one?
yeah, so Asher was here.
Oh, great. Two practical languages.
Wait,
My grandma told me to teach him.
I can't keep it straight anymore. So, no, so Lydia, like over. Asher.
Four.
Yeah.
No, sure. Same age.
We'll go ahead and get started and call our board meeting to order. Can I share, Susan? As a teacher, not as a board member, so I have a favor to ask. We just finished up a persuasive writing unit, and we wrote letters, and our last assignment was to pick a topic that they could actually put into practice and find an address and mail it to, and now we're all seeing who gets letters back, and it's been a slow return. And 2 of them have been written to the board, and I'm hoping I can, and to be quite honest, I'm not sure if the board is the exact place these letters should be written to, but I'm asking potentially if someone might be willing to take one of them and write them a letter back, maybe. So can I read them really quickly?
Do we have to mail them? That's like.
No, I'll do it all. If you just write the letter, I will seal it, I'll put it in an envelope, I'll put a stamp on it. And it doesn't have to be long. I just want them to have the experience of getting, you know, and I told them, look, they're not, some of these aren't, you know, we'll see. Dear school board, have you ever been late by 1 minute or a few seconds? It's annoying, right? I think we should be able to get to school at 8:25, so we won't be late.
Oh my God.
Wait. My 3 reasons are siblings, traffic, and you're more awake. I'm sorry, I'm giving her attitude. It's Harper Smith. My first reason is siblings. Some of us have siblings that go to different schools, and that makes you late. School makes them late at 8:25. My sister takes 30 minutes to get just her shirt on. So a lot of times I'm late, and it's all my sister's fault. My sister does not think about me or my other sisters being late. She's as slow as a sloth.
Oh my
My
God.
second reason is traffic. Sometimes traffic is so bad. Like if there's a wreck, I live in Leland, it's far away. If the school opened later, I wouldn't have to wake up at 6 a.m. and leave at 7:15. My third reason is that the mornings you're tired. I wake up super early to get to school because I live in Leland, have to get ready fast, and I'm still tired, and the lights hurt my eyes. In the morning at school, I'm slow, and some people have hair that's hard to deal with, but if you could just go later, people can deal with it, just like teachers. I really think it's a good idea to close the doors at 8:25, and other people do too. Other schools do it, why can't we? I hope you change your mind and let us not be late at 8:05 and make it 8:25. After reading this, please write back soon. Your favorite student, Harper Smith. She forgot that she wasn't writing to me. This one is, dear school board, act as if what you do makes a difference. It does, and that was said by William James. Do you want to learn how to cook or bake? We should have skills developed by age 10. Our future is going to be less electronics. It's going to be more, our future isn't going to be less electronics. It's going to be more. That's why we should have different electives. The first reason I want more electives is if you need to learn life skills. You can learn life skills. You can learn how to cook or bake. Baking classes. By a certain age, you should know how to cook and do simple stuff. The second reason our future isn't going to be more electronics. So we need social media class. You might say like a tech class. Well, not. It's a class where you text people and respond to others. Sorry. The third reason is that you have to have more electives. Kids should be able to choose their electives, like PE on Monday. That's the first day from the weekend, so they can pick an easy one. So they can pick the most accurate one for the day that works for them. I hope you think that we can make different electives. Do you think we should have different electives? Remember that we should have baking classes, social media class, and electives. Please write back. Sincerely, Olivia Gibson.
I totally want Harper.
Anyone interested?
I'll take Harper.
Now, personally, I like the idea of cooking class, but I don't think the school board's the right. And you could potentially say, I don't think the school board is the right person to write to. So you would really write to Harper?
I would totally.
Anyone else want to read to Olivia? Oh my God, you guys are awesome! Doesn't have to be long.
Oh,
And you can just, you
Letter.
all right, more than that, Dana. And you can email it to me and I'll do all the rest, okay?
Yeah, as long as I have to real mail anything.
Actually, I don't know if I did that, but yeah, just, thank you so much. So.
Doesn't mean I'm involved.
You know what, I'll tell you.
Mom says they're on.
I'm all about that.
Okay. Do we have any public comments? No public comments. So we can pause for 5 minutes while we wait for the students, or we can allow our prospective board members.
Do we want to approve the minutes?
Oh, we need to do that first.
We do need to do that.
Good job.
Yay!
Remember that, everyone.
Where are the second board members? So.
They're right here.
Here.
They're right here.
Oh, they're up here.
2 here.
And
One here and one.
And then someone withdrew.
Oh,
Yes, correct. Okay, yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
She'll let you know.
Sorry.
After the minutes.
One step at a time.
All right, so let's go ahead and approve the minutes. So do I have a motion
motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Hooray. It's approved.
Who's second? No. We have to.
Oh,
Aye.
Aye.
thank you.
Who's second?
Still didn't do it right.
Any opposed? Okay, so moved.
We voted to approve the minutes. I still did it wrong. Well,
You'll get lost.
no. And then do we want
Waiting on the
to
presentation.
have folks present, or do we want to pause?
They might be a little bit sick. The next one.
It's not, no.
Okay.
Okay. So we do have 3 people presenting tonight. The agenda reflected 4. Mr. White did withdraw his application. So there will be 3 individuals who will present and 2 open board seats. for the taking. So if you want to call their names and we'll go through. Christopher White is not going to be able to attend.
Sure, so we'll just go down the line. Jeffrey Cummings.
And Mr. Cummings, whatever you're comfortable,
Whatever
whatever you're comfortable doing.
Okay, I'm used to being in front of the classroom, but I'll sit over here. I'm Jeff Cummings. I think I know quite a few people. And I've been here at the school. My son is graduating, going on to high school at Isaac Fair, Hudson Cummings. And then I've got Nate Cummings, who's in this case class right now, going to 5th grade next year. And then I got, surprise, one more coming up in kindergarten in 1 more year. So we've been around for quite a while. I'm a professor up at UNCW. I am in the business school. So we're part of Cameron School, but I'm in Cogman School. Don't ask me how a school's in a school. But I primarily am in information security, focusing on cybersecurity, analytics, and the former president has urged me to come forward over the past couple of years. I said, is that going to be a benefit for me, or should I say that you encouraged me or not? But Stephen is my colleague. He had an office right next to me. So we've talked about it over the past years. So, the reason I decided to go is I really believe in the approach that CFCI does, the inquiry base. I bring that into most of my courses on campus. We got to get our hands dirty to really learn things. You can't just give them theory. And you got to promote and get them out there to learn. So that's some of the reasons why I wanted to run. In addition, I think everybody in education, we're still coming out of that pandemic. I know it's struggling. We're seeing it impact the freshmen that are coming in. We're seeing it in high schools, and you guys see it every day. So part of what I propose, what I'd like to bring to the board is, some more of that support. And, I've gone through some personal issues with my son around mental health, around, bullying and some of the things that are happening that I think to a lot of people, and a lot of kids are getting anxiety. So that's one thing I would like to look at and expand on and try to bring to the board is kind of how we approach mental health of our students, anxiety with our students, and kind of promote an open environment. In the past, Coastal Horizons came in and they were very kind of connected with the school at one point. I'd like to see and bring that partnership back in. I don't know if they're still doing it as much, but kind of promoting that and giving that as an option to students. And part of what I do in cybersecurity is I focus a lot on security and privacy. COPA, FERPA, a lot of the policies and regulations that K through 12, K through 8, they really have to follow. I do policy development in a lot of my courses, so I feel like I could bring that perspective, how we can increase the privacy and security for our students. And overall, I think the technology at the university, aside from social media classes, I think that we could look at expanding that. I came and talked at, I can't remember the days you call it, right before spring break. Academies. I came to one of the academies and I started talking about privacy and security. And one of the 7th graders was like shocked. She was like, really, you can do that? And I'm like, yes, we know everything that you do. And it was kind of a shock to me that, and I know they probably have been told that a lot of times, but I think reinforcing that, And, you know, bringing more of that to the school would also be helpful. And just the overall approach, I know you've lost the technology person that was with the school. So I can see some areas of improvement. And then lastly, I'm trying not to take up too much time. I have been researching and focusing in fact, I'm giving a lecture to the Cameron Executive Board on Friday around AI. And whether we like it or not, it's happening. You can't, you know, I've done a lot of research on it. You can't just say we're going to block it from students. They're going to get to it. So I think what I really, you know, kind of the last thing I really want to bring to the board and bring to the school is how do we embrace this? I focus primarily on the undergraduate and graduate area, but there's a lot of literature, there's a lot of things out there that we can do to start letting our students understand what it can do, what it can't do, and not really say it is something that we should fear, but I think it's something we should embrace because it's not going away. It's going to be here. We've got to figure out how to work with it and not just say, but let's ban it. So that's the other thing that I'll kind of finish off on is, you know, really looking at how AI is changing education, even the future of jobs and where we're moving as a society. So that's all I really have. Thank you guys for listening.
Thank you.
Next up, Amy.
So I've been on board for 3 years, my 3rd year. I would like to stay on, given we are in such a good place now, and this is such an exciting time in the school. My background is in law, I'm an attorney, I'm also a graphic designer, and I medical practice. I guess I don't know what I want to be when I grow up, but it makes me very well versed in a lot of different things. So I've got a great team right now, and I'd like to continue to support the school and the teachers and all of our community. I've got a graduate of CFCI who's at Hanover, and going into his junior year. Oh my God! And then Ever, who many of you know, he's a 5th grader in Williamsburg right now, which is insane. But just really, this is a special place, and it's been a great place to be a part of. And I'd like to continue. You're welcome.
And Will. What was it?
Good evening. My story's gonna echo Jeff's a lot because our kids started in before at the same time in kindergarten, and my 2 8th graders are about to launch into into high school. And you know, I'm a 4th grader.
He's going to 5th grade unless you make it.
He's going to 5th grade. I work at UNCW also. I'm a director of an academic support unit. I've worked in higher ed for more than 5 years. I started as a teacher, a coordinator, a trainer. I've worked with pre-service teachers, trained TAs as they're learning to teach. My current job as an administrator, I hope, would be beneficial to the board as a perspective from someone who works as a supervisor in education. I've been interested in the board for a while. I didn't know if I would be allowed to, since, as you all know, my spouse works at the school, so I appreciate just the consideration that you all are giving me to do this, and possibly do this. I'm a true believer in CFCI. Inquiry is so important, and I would hope that if I were on the board that I would help the institution adhere to inquiry as the mission of the school. I think that it's probably more important now than ever that we teach young people to think expansively.
Thanks. wanna go, yeah, a little extra
Um,
bar.
so you will, all board applicants, you are welcome to stay and join us for the rest of the board meeting. Or you are free to go as well, of course.
I've been here.
We are going to-
You guys
You guys
wish.
wish.
Hear about the sixth grade money.
Yeah.
And Ms. McCorkle, I will turn it over to Ms. McCorkle for the student
Kim,
presentation.
do you have the presentation?
I'm gonna, yeah, let me,
Because mine is just.
yeah, give me 1 second, Sarah, I'm gonna put it up on that board.
Okay, it'll be up on the whiteboard. And I Brady, do you want to know how to flip it on the whiteboard? Okay.
Oh, yeah,
They know how, here, let me introduce what you're gonna be doing.
full screen to full screen. Can you get it full screen? He's in the way. They're all, it's fine.
It's a,
He's in the way. The Zoom meeting.
so it's her computer that you're mirroring. It's Miss. Miss McCormick.
We can put it up.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay.
Wait, how do we switch? How do we?
You want me to take that?
You can do it. You can do it from her.
Yeah, I can take that. Here, make it so you can see.
Yeah, this is good. This is good. We got
All right, so I am Sarah McCorkle. I'm one of the sixth grade teachers. I used to sit on the board for, I guess, last
No,
year.
last year, was
Year
it last year
before. I don't know, anyway, I was on during COVID, it's a blur, anyway. And I've been at school for a very long time, thank you for your service. So, I am one of the sixth grade teachers, I teach language arts and social studies. Carla Bromstead is my teaching partner, she does math and science. Part of our MTSS, our multi-tiered student support time, we call it enrichment and intervention block. In the middle grades, that's how we service students who need extra support, and also we enrich students who are identified through a series as our AIG students, basically. So on Tuesdays, Carla services math students, and then on Thursdays and Fridays, I work with our language arts students. So these are our students, a small selection. She asked who would be interested in presenting. And these three volunteered, this one because she's my kid. And so, no, she said she would do it. And so Carla volunteered and then said, I'm gonna be in Williamsburg. So can you do it, Sarah? And I said, sure. So they have taken the entire presentation over, and here we go.
Okay, so we made a class store, basically is what we've been working on for the past 5 weeks about figuring out how the money works. So we'll get into that stuff. So a few jobs in the store to start. So first we have the banker, and it's the person who transfers our digital money from this website called Bankaroo. It's basically fake money used for math that the teacher can switch money over from. And so the banker basically transfers the digital money into cash money from kids' accounts to make it into free passes. The store clerk is the person who helps people decide what they want to buy in our store, which we will show. And they also tell the cashier what the person wants to buy to make it go a little bit faster. And the cashier, which is kind of covered, but it's okay, is the one who collects free passes from the person buying the item and who records the money on our little tracker to see how much money the store has made in one day. So. How we came up with the idea. So Miss B wanted us to do something that involved real life math, and we had the idea and we had a bunch of free passes that we really weren't using. And basically you earn free passes by doing anything to help out the class. So that's our cash. And so we had a bunch of them, we weren't using them, so we decided to come up with the store, and yeah, that's how it came to be. And where we got the store supplies. So the store supplies were mostly donations from parents, which we were super grateful for. And everyone in sixth grade has really enjoyed the store and appreciated the donations.
So here are some of the bake procedures. So this is the overview. How does the bank system work anyway? Well, I'm going to explain this for you. First, a designated time is chosen to operate. This is referred to as time to take money out of a digital bank account, like you heard from Stella, Bankaroo. During operating times, digital money is transferred in and out of the digital bank. This currency transfer is called free passes. Originally, these were used to go across the hall to other classes for a short period of time, like lunch, morning advisory, and more. Now, free passes are used as a full currency like money would be used. Here's our conclusion. Now we have a successful money system. Along with this, we have volunteers, a system of getting currency via helping around the classroom and more. Thank you. This was a fun presentation, and thank you for giving us this opportunity.
Okay, we have more now. This is our actual store and how it works.
Here it goes.
So yeah, and just in the middle. Yeah, and Anna will tell you how it works and everything about it. And then we'll give a demonstration.
Okay, this is our store. We have all of the items that the parents have donated. And we have the extra items. We keep all of our supplies down at the bottom because we need for the cups and the markers. There's store passes because we do the store in the hallway and we can't have all of the kids in our class coming out because that's too many people in the hallway. But we sell all kinds of things like pencils and stress balls, erasers, and candy. And then here's our money for when it's built, and now we can do
A demonstration.
a demonstration.
Okay. So in this, Brady will be buying something. He came from Miss B's class, so we have to click
Hey, I got the store pass. I want to buy something. What would you like to buy? I would like to buy 2 designer pencils. 2 designer pencils, all right. I can't decide. I can't decide.
Hurry up in the hallway, we got 7 people. Sorry.
Okay.
Somebody talking on the phone.
And write it all down on index card. One's our free passes and
Thank
one's
you. The money.
our
Yeah.
All right, perfect. You can pick your and then there's the sheet.
Got it.
There you go. All right, take your free pass and give it to the next person. Or, oh, your short.
Okay, and record it down. Okay,
Got it?
$5.
All right, who's next? Ta-da, ta-da.
That's it.
You got it. Can I just pick up the picture of you together?
Today, they were making homework passes for math. And they have, from one of the breakout boxes, they have these blue light pens. And one of the students came over, he's like, Carla's gone, he said, will you please let Miss Jen know we're allowed to use those pens and the blue lights? I said, what are you using them for? He said, well, we want to make sure nobody forges the homework passes. So we're writing a note on the back, so if somebody tries to forge it, we can shine the light on the back.
So you can buy your way out of homework?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like a homework pass, so you can get out of your homework for a week.
Can I ask a question? So you earn free passes
For like.
when you're making positive contributions to the class,
Yeah.
Right, so
And we do bets. So we like
Yeah.
do math
Sometimes
bets.
in
And
math,
if you
you have
get,
to, like,
if
do
you
a
get the
math
math
problem.
problem correct, if you get the math problem correct and however much money you betted, you get that money back. But if you lose, you have to owe you that money. Yeah.
right, so sometimes I'll
Being the
say, I
teacher.
need the floor swept, can somebody please do it? And so if somebody says, do I get a free pass? I say no, because you asked that. But if somebody like picks up the room and starts sweeping, then yes, or somebody drops something and I see them pick it up or whatever. It's like, we recognize the positive things that they do.
We also priced all these items ourselves.
Has it been impacting, making a positive impact in behavior in the class?
So the free passes usually do. We started allowing them to go back and forth between the classes, like in that arrival time
Yes.
too. But this has been, I mean, it was a huge hit.
that's
That's why we had to design the passes, because we had like 12 kids out all day. So, yeah. And they did that entire presentation. It was like, you guys had this morning to do a presentation.
We have a little bit.
And they did it. So, all right, excellent.
Great job.
I got a couple free passes for that. That was great, guys. Thank you all. And this is the CFCI graduate. This is my daughter. She's going to be.
Yeah, I tried to say why was she.
All right. We have a lot of things to discuss in closed sessions, so I'd like to put a motion to move into closed session. We're going to consider the qualifications and electing board members. We're also going to discuss personnel matters and the CFCI building proposals. So do I have a motion? Do what?
We're gonna start our election. Okay, yeah.
So do I have a motion to move into closed session?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Oh, right, yes. And the non-voting members are allowed to come over for the closed session, just to provide feedback and thoughts. Great. As well. So we're gonna
We will
close
move
session.
across the hallway. So if everybody wants to join us. Now, y'all, hello. I know.
Do we have that?
You can, I mean, this is the unexciting part.
Yes. It is a good
But
time.
you're welcome to stay and join us.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, nice to meet you. Sorry,
Josh.
nice to meet you, Josh.
You stay, you go.
I'm here.
Go.
Unless you want me to stay.
Okay.
You're good. You're good. Thank you. Right.
Yeah, thanks.
Are you leaving? You're good.
You're good, yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, y'all.
All right, thank you.
Probably would have been easier if I left what we said. Don't know much how to read this. Who is this?
if not this lengthy, so
Yeah.
that's the difference.
I just wondered if there was a logistic reason for that.
Not necessarily.
Would be really nice to have this back to it.
All right.
We can do that.
to go to work every day.
Sorry.
We have to complete space.
Yeah.
Kim, I think you're still muted.
No, I just unmuted.
Okay.
All right, Director of Operations report.
We did, yes.
We will need to.
Oh,
To do what to it?
Motion to accept HR report.
Second.
go for it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Approved.
You get your better outline.
Do what?
You get your better outline.
Stuff doesn't really matter to me. Just tickle crap.
All right, for the facilities report is short and sweet. We have completed projects with safety locks were installed in the multi-purpose room. Upgrade to security access software occurred on Friday, May 12th. So we have had a few glitches with power outages and fire alarms going off last night, and some were connected to some of the adjustments and the updates that we made, but that seems to be corrected now. So now we have a more workable system of adding codes for access to our building, and it's updated as well. So that's a good thing. School safety update, safety team trained in the scenario-based portion of Alice training on Monday, May 8th. And we are planning to utilize the efforts of the safety team to help train the entire staff in the scenario-based training, but we will start as required by the hybrid model of the train the trainer that we attended, Ben and I. So online, there's a module that walks through the entire Alice approach, about an hour long. This will be added to the online trainings over the summer and to be completed by the first designated workday. And we are going to work in our schedule about a 2 to 3 hour timeline. Shouldn't be more than 2 to 2.5 hours for our scenario-based training, where we'll break up in groups and perform some scenarios. Upcoming projects, we received a new quote for the sign because we have not heard from the previous person who was going to design the sign. This
Door sign, like building sign?
is the capital campaign
Oh.
sign for Shipyard.
Got it, got it.
3-year project.
I think someone that does signs for us.
We've come in lower on the price, so we're now a little under $10,000, which is better than 15, so that's good. And we did put down a 50% deposit, so we are moving forward with this sign, with this company, and it will be completely paid for by fiscal year's end, so it reflects this budget year, and it may be installed in July, but we're okay with that because we will have paid for it and we will have satisfied that requirement. It will be just singular front side. It wasn't going to work where it would be the dual side with the location, the placement, the size. And if you recall the saga of the sign, it was supposed to have been lighted, and that was absolutely impossible to be able to do. So this is not a lighted sign, but this is something that someone will notice us from the road on Shipyard, yes. And we will have to approve the proof, sending that to us, yes. Any questions?
Is it permanent? Like, is it cemented or bricked or?
It's supposed to be a monument.
Something like that?
Yes, yes, it
Okay.
is permanently installed. I don't
Okay.
know that we'll be able to uproot it once it's installed.
Well, that's, okay.
That's a good thing. Really just put all in the picture, that's all.
Okay.
So it has evolved
Okay,
since
all right.
its beginning, so I do not think that this proof is gonna resemble anything you saw from 3 years ago.
Forget about that.
For sure, but I will get that out to everyone once we have the proof. They're getting that to us. It's been apparently very difficult to secure a sign in Wilmington, so here we are. The kiln finally is in, the process is in repair. We have a little bit of a hole in one of the, I'm looking at you because I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
So please forgive me, it's in a duct apparently, and Kim is also an expert as well, so I may just defer to you.
And upkeep on that, and I mentioned to her, she's probably gonna need to look at coils and stuff like that pretty soon.
Right, so to that point, I can tell you that we have a kiln expert that has come out and will be servicing the kiln, and we will have him on the annual
That's somebody's
maintenance.
job, is killing the expert.
You know exactly.
They do, they service they service
They
around.
probably have other things they work.
Okay, I was like, wow.
I am calling him.
Okay, I like it.
I do not
Let's go
know
with it.
entirely, but I do know that he is coming on site to repair said kiln and to set us up on an annual maintenance, which I think we've been lacking up to date. So, that is important that we make sure that that kiln is in good working order. It gets up to 1,500 degrees. So we don't want that to be malfunctioning inside of our building. So that was the facilities report. Any questions? All right. That will take us into the April 2023 budget. I do have copies up here if anybody would like them. If you have not grabbed them already. Just a couple of things I want to draw your attention to. These are not as current as we always like them to be. We don't always get the updates when we need them for the board meeting. So I do want to reflect a few things. I do want you to keep in mind when you see the negative sign in the local revenue, that means we have more revenue than was budgeted for. So you'll see that it's not a bad thing, it's a good thing. We have not adjusted these budget lines because it's important for us to look at how far off we were and adjust our budget for next year as well. Some of these things are related to interest, as we've discussed before. When you have a higher interest rate, of course, you're going to accrue more money. So some of those are the reasons why. Field trips, you'll note, is way off the charts, but we budgeted 25,000 in revenue, and field trips is a revenue in, expense out item. So we budget for what we think it's going to cost, and we charge that amount. We have had more opportunities for field trips than we thought we would this year, which is great. Just know that this is not something where we are taxed financially. This is, we charge the cost of the field trip and we accrue that cost back. So no worries there. I will say for next year's budget, we upped this to 50,000, which is more comparable to years past in terms of you've got to think about your overnight trips. So when you have your middle grade retreat, you have your Williamsburg trip that we're on right now, you've got your DC trip. These are very, very expensive trips. So the cost is high for the people who are going, the cost up front is high for the school, but we do recoup all of that money. We charge what we need to for those. Moving on to the second page for expenses. One thing that I did want to note, the contracted student services at 93,000, we are going to up that for next year a bit. We've come in pretty high with speech services this year, and again, that's dependent upon your students and the needs that they have written in the IEP. So we have a general, and it's only negative 4.36, but you have to figure we're in April as of last update, and we have services through June. So just something to consider. Kelly and I will talk about where those numbers we think should be projected, but we have seen more needed services this year, and a lot of that depends on your incoming kindergarten class as well, or new evaluations, and you just don't know where that's going to land. So I think that's important to look at those students and determine, where that cost might lie.
That's not just speech, right? That's also like.
That's all of the
psychological
contracted services,
for
but speech is
testing.
where it was hitting the negative. So that we're actually, I don't want to say over budgeted. I think we'll come in right where we thought we would with psychological evaluations and services. We've also got OTPT that's factored into there. But speech is where I'm noticing we're having more of a cost than we thought we would this year.
We're noticing.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Not from the cost standpoint. Oh, I bet.
And that's
The pandemic is not that helpful.
right, absolutely. And mask wearing and all of the things that affect speech, we're seeing the influences of that as well. So we see cab equipment and purchases, just a reminder, that's the bus purchase. So that, of course, in the expense line is coming up in the negative pretty significantly, but we have fundraised for that. We have fundraised a good bit of money this year, and we will put back from our fund balance whatever we need to pay down that amount for the bus that we paid this year. And then the final thing I wanted to note is the DHHS health grant, as I've mentioned before, this was amended to reflect more revenue by $96,100. So that does not reflect in this budget. You'll see it's coming in at negative 11.8. We're not even close to that. We're covered. We're going to zero out by the end. The only other update I have, which is, it is reflected on the front page, I believe, all federal revenue had to have been spent by this past week. So we are zeroed out everywhere we need to be. We've spent all of the federal revenue that we've been allotted.
COVID
So,
money.
yeah, well, it's that, it's some ETIDEA money, it's a variety of pots that we're pulling from, but it's important that we send all of that down to the penny. So that has been accomplished. We are good there. The one thing, and I think we've talked about this before, if you see 181 in the budget, that is COVID money, the ESSER funding, that's ESSER 3 funding, which can be spent up until September 2024. So we will have some rollover we anticipate this year for additional workshop expenses, for additional learning loss, for additional resources within the building as well, because that qualifies under those expenditures.
Are they paying for you guys to do it in summer? Have they given any additional revenue for summer?
We do have summer reading camp, so you'll
But
note,
nothing.
016, that 30,000 reflects both last year's, which is 16,342, and then this summer's, which is 14,032. So we've gone down a bit, but that will fund our summer reading Read to Achieve camp, which is 3 weeks after we finish school, we'll be serving students. And that pays for the staffing and the resources, materials, and other materials curriculum-wise that help to support reading interventions as well. So we do use that money all the way down to 0. And you will see that spent down. Usually it's October when that has to be fully spent, but we'll probably have spent that down by early summer with the resources, materials, curriculum. Any other questions? Oh, and also we have completely spent down our 071. All of our staff members who are paid on the state teacher salary schedule were issued their checks on Monday. So we do have the 071 completely spent down.
So the cap equipment purchases the bus. Is there a separate spreadsheet showing, if we're talking about putting money back that we took out? Is there a separate something showing that each time that we do that? Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
We will have, so I think you're talking about the balance sheet at the end of the year.
I guess, just for that, so like if somebody came and said, can you show me how much we still need to pay back to take care of the money that we took out of our fund balance to pay for the bus? Is there a clean, clear sheet that you can say, yes, here it is?
She's a benefactor that's gonna pay for the rest of the bus.
Makes sense.
It makes sense, yes. Well, I love a benefactor, but yes,
Well, so would I. It's not me.
personally, but yes, so here's the thing, is that often comes up in audit, so that's where they'll reflect all of those transactions. We are, as we know, shifting over to CSP, so that's a question that I'm going to have to ask them regarding their reporting and what they're, because you should expect, just so you know, this is what Acadian budgets look like. You should expect a bit of a change in the formatting of the budgets for next year. Not a change in the way we do business, but just a change in what you're seeing and how it's mapped out. You will also see projections, like how are we trending, things like that will be included as well. So to more directly answer your question, yes, there is a way and it's required at audit time, but I can request that sooner to see if we can, once we see, to true up this year's budget, it takes time. So we're often not going to get that information right at July, especially with the transition, but I anticipate by the beginning of next school year, we'll have a better idea of what those numbers look like. Yeah, and remember, we did say anything that we have additional in our, right now, we're looking at a $45,000 surplus right now. We're going to replace that money as best we can with regard to the bus and what we need to pay back, as opposed to taking away from our fund balance. Because we worked hard as a school to build up that fund balance. We certainly don't want to use it as the rainy day fund for any reason. Any other questions? And I have one final piece, and that is for the 360 evaluation proposal for the rollout. So we have developed a proposal which should be linked into the agenda. If you want to put it on the screen, that would be great. can pencil that up. So to just start, we're going to propose that we distribute, so to give a little bit of a background, the 360 evaluation tool has been a goal of the board for quite some time. And the intention of it is for the evaluation of the directors to get a more thorough understanding of daily operations, because you as board members don't experience daily operations at the school level. So this gives the staff an opportunity to provide feedback, which the directors, the board of directors will then receive. You won't see any of this, it's anonymous, but the board of directors will receive that data and incorporate that information into the evaluation for both the director of education and the director of operations. So these instruments were developed last year with one director in place as the structure that we were operating. So then we had to amend that to reflect both a director of operations and a director of education. The staff survey combines both of them. The board survey has one for each director, but it's more global thinking in terms of not being so specific, but in terms of your interactions and your expectations as a board. So there are very different questions that you're answering because each of you is interacting with us very differently. The 360 evaluation tool is proposed to be distributed to each loop level or department, which are listed below. So we've got K1, 2, 3, 4, 5 middle grades, specialists, EC team, support team, which encompasses the behavior support counselor and interventionists, the coordinator team, which is our K3 coordinator, 4-8 coordinator, and EC coordinator, the office staff as a department, that's our front office and facilities manager, front office and student information manager, school nurse and custodian, and then the teacher assistants are a looper department. This will allow for representation across the building, and it will allow for 10 submitted surveys so you can get a good view of all aspects and anyone who interacts with us at the school level. The board of directors will be given a separate survey to complete specific to their board responsibilities. All voting board members will complete the 360 evaluation for each director. So again, separate one for each person. Family feedback for this year, and this is something and again, this whole process can be modified, but we need to get started. So let's see how this year goes, and then if we need to make adjustments, we can propose them to the board can propose them to the school, we can work together to make sure it's what we need it to reflect. But the family feedback will be extracted from the annual parent survey that we sent out this year, so as not to be too survey happy to our families, but it does incorporate some questions about, for example, the approachability and accessibility of the directors is one of the questions in the model. So I think that's important to incorporate as the board of directors evaluation. Moving forward, we're thinking, and again, open to opinion here, but we're thinking the survey will reflect more specific questions regarding the directors, but still be a part of that whole family climate survey so that we're not over surveying our families. Director of Education and Operations will each complete a self-assessment, similar questions to what the staff is getting and the board is getting. We're just trying to see where we're falling with regard to our perception of our own performance. And then the board chair and vice chair will collect all survey data. So again, once this is sent out, the ownership, I've created these forms that will go away from me. Kim has edit access, collaborating aspects, that will go away from her. It will get transitioned to the board chair and vice chair, or president and vice president, I don't know which one we call them. All survey data.
Supreme roller.
Justice. Absolutely. The other piece, and this is important for the board to hear, it is in policy that the evaluation must be complete for the director by June 30th. So that's the end of the year. So that's important for us to consider because that's when we consider contracts as well, right? So we just want to make sure that there is afforded enough time for that meeting, the reflection, the evaluation, and then this process is intended. What's that?
Of course we are.
Of course, you're gonna work hard.
Okay.
When are you sending it out tomorrow?
Of course I can. It's ready to go. It's ready to go. Yeah, there's nothing that needs to be done other than sharing over the rights We
That better
did
send it
talk
out
to the
tomorrow.
staff, so the staff is aware that this is about to take place, and we intended to provide time at some point for them to go break up in their groups and do what they need to do with the survey and have that discussion.
Will, board teachers, will we do 2, or will we do the teacher one, or what, how will that?
We hadn't thought about that, and I am
Do you have
open
a
to others'
preference?
opinions.
I think the
Like-
teacher one.
The teacher one, that's.
So the way it is in there, it says voting board members will.
Because my
Yeah.
feedback
Do
would
the
be more
board
that,
one.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
That's.
Okay.
And you're gonna email that to us, or?
I am going to transfer the ownership over to Amy and Dana,
Okay,
and then they will facilitate that from there, so that I don't have access to it.
I got you.
I guess tomorrow.
Okay.
And what we will do for staff,
I mean,
we'll have to
Sounds like it.
come together, but it'll come from your email most likely, or Dana, your email, just to send out to the staff, here's access to the link. for
Yep.
this survey,
When do
just
we
because
discuss it?
That is up to you. all.
We'll have to do a closed session or special meeting.
Obviously, right? If
Yeah.
We just
But-
June
but-
30th deadline.
I haven't thought this out yet because I didn't know the deadline was June 30th.
Because I'm looking. at
However,
Our board meeting would be June 20th.
right,
So-
I do want to thank the two of you for being on this because it's been years of resistance to such a simple thing. And, you know, we talked about it last week and we, you know, my thing was not to curate the list, right? To get full community feedback. And I think that this will do that. And if not, like if it doesn't feel right at the end, you just need to look at the system and tweak it.
Yeah.
But I feel like this is a great start because
You
we'll
do
get
too, right?
everyone.
Don't you feel good about just?
I
roll
do.
out?
Do you feel?
Yeah, no.
Because they actually want
Well,
to hear it.
Yeah.
Which I think
You
is
were
great.
Yeah.
Which I think is great.
Yeah.
So I'm
Well, I think,
glad that we're finally
I think
here.
it's like you said, I think the really important thing you have to remember is we haven't always been in a good place. And so I think this is a tool that when
The
you're in a good
system,
place,
right.
great, because I'm one of those people, and I think Susan is too, we're very reflective. We want to hear if there's something. We also want to hear good too. I mean,
Yeah.
Right.
we're like
No
that.
one's just-
But I think it's
yeah.
it's a place for people to have a voice. So the board has a voice, the teachers have a voice, parents will have a voice. And although this year it's a little bit different, we know that that's what we can work to. And I think that that's what the
And with a
board
firm
needs to hear.
structure,
Right, but that's what the
it'll work in bad times.
right,
as
the
well as
board
good
needs to be able to
times.
hear that from, you know, the participant, you know, the stakeholders in order to know that the right things are being done. So I think that's really important.
So we'll probably have to meet before. So that then
We'll work it
we
out.
also have to give them feedback, right?
Yeah, no,
So I'm just
absolutely,
making sure I
absolutely. no.
understand. We
Mhm.
have to meet.
So we'll
have to
we'll
review it.
meet and then executive will meet with
With
them.
them.
prior
Okay,
to
great.
that
That's
meeting.
what I needed to
You won't,
understand.
the whole board won't have to do the
Okay.
whole thing.
There we go.
What is the date of our June board meeting?
June 20th.
Is this a third party
I will not
generated,
be
or
at
is this
June
something you
20th.
put together?
This is based on the Berkeley model, so we utilize the Berkeley model to create this and then tailored it to better fit our school. So the questions are pretty standard,
It's
but
not
they
perfect.
do reflect our school more so than a traditional. See, the Berkeley model is more traditionally focused on the role of a single principal, and that just doesn't fit our school. So there were some pieces that we had to be more specific with regard to our dual roles. But it is norm reference in that respect. It's a very widely used model for a 360. It's just that we had to adjust. It's not, by no means are we it's perfect either. So, again, open to feedback and how we can improve it for next year as well.
We're at the 8 o'clock hour. If we need to continue, want to continue, we have stuff we need to vote. to continue. Once you've had 2 hours. to do that.
You still have your whole part to do.
I know, I can go back.
I'm sorry. I took it up.
You're fine. That's not what it is. I just, but because of that time, and I know you didn't know.
Right.
Is that the last thing on the agenda?
There's nothing to vote on this, though, right?
No,
Yeah.
no, there's kids' goal.
After Kim's, there's something else on the
No,
agenda?
no. Right,
I vote to rock and roll.
Then the movie,
I
the
second.
movie.
Second to continue.
All in favor, yes.
Yes.
Let's
All
go.
in favor? Yes.
Here you go.
Knock it out.
Sorry, guys. Yeah. Okay, here we go. So as usual, enrollment, we're still at 399. Yay. So we have not lost any other students, or I believe. Waitlist incoming families, it remains the same. At this time, all classes are full, healthy waitlist, exception of grade 8, as I had said to you before. So we'll continue to promote applications for our middle grades. And we do have a kindergarten parent meeting, which is scheduled for May 23rd at 5 p.m. Professional development, May 12th, the classroom faculty came and did a Heidi Mills, the eighth, was it the eighth? Yeah, eighth chapter of her book. And with Heidi, we will pick up with her next year. And we also, as I said, are doing personalized PD next year as a school. The remainder of this year includes our last CPI, piece of CPI training, and then our whole staff will have had the de-escalation piece of CPI training completed. Alice training, you talked about that, and we're going to be working on that. And we are also doing SEL training, social emotional learning, at the end of the year to set our faculty up for the 2023-24 school year. Field experiences, as you know, the kids are at Williamsburg in 5th grade right now until tomorrow. They're coming back, and we've got lots of trips planned. As a board, if you look on our CFCI calendar, all of our field trips are on there. So the new activity bus is being well utilized. For weekly community updates, just click those links and you'll see the last 4 weeks of community updates. For the PCN, I'm sorry, I'm not asking you if you have any questions, but I'm just
Good.
PCN. I just want you to know that this is the family survey. There's a link to it. What this is just an overview, a synopsis of what we got back with all of the charts. And overall, we had 77 surveys returned out of 235 families. I think we have approximately. Overall, the results were good, very positive. We felt most were like 4s and 5s out of a 1 to 5 scale, 5 being excellent. Most of them were in the 4 to 5 range or neutral, about very few in the 1 to 2 range. The areas, especially good areas, facilities, communication and programming, teaching, all of that, very good. There is some areas of need, specifically in behavior management, classroom, management, our commitment, discipline, all of that. So that's part of our strategic plan, and that's part of what we've been working with. And after school programming was another area that people really want more of what they're not getting right now. So those, and again, that's being addressed in the strategic plan. So all of that, teacher council, PCN, faculty meetings, all of that's being addressed in those areas. So rest assured, when you're looking at those charts, that we're having conversations. It's not just going to be left to the wayside. They're all being, I don't mean they're all being addressed, but we're having conversations and working on it. Partnership, they had a successful Cinco de Mayo event on that Friday the 5th, and partnership continues to support the school and our teachers. They are purchasing 100 folding chairs and storage for our NPR performances. We usually have to do chair brigade, and so now that'll help us not have to do chair brigade, or it's not as often. For assessments, we just finished our math testing and math and reading for grades 2 through 8. Thank you specifically to all teachers, and then also to Lisa Cole, Van Pearson Kelly for leading this important end of year benchmarking. EOGs will be coming up at the end of May. 526 is the 5th and 8th grade science EOGs. 531 is the grades 3 through 8 reading EOGs, and 6-1 is the 3 through 8 math EOGs. And I did want to say for our K through 3, they've also done math, they're in the process, and they've also been doing M-class testing for reading for our children. So it's been a busy end of the year. So that is it.
Great job.
Check.
Are we able to proctor if you need them?
Boom. What's that?
Are we able to proctor if you need them?
I don't know. Let me ask Ben. He would
may
know
have enough
specifically.
already.
Don't know about that either.
Thanks for even asking.
Yes,
Yes,
thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you for inquiring.
Missy's gonna be teaching 5th grade writing next year
And grammar.
and grammar.
Oh,
I'm
nice.
going back full
Full
time.
time.
Wow. At Fifth year?
Mhm.
Nice.
Which is great.
Fifth-year
I taught
academy.
it last year for a teacher that was on extended maternity leave.
Yep.
And I loved it, and it's just for a year.
Yeah.
Because they have grade levels where they
That's
have bump out
exciting.
years.
Sure.
So
That's
it's
just
just,
for
they
you
have to have
too.
a, yeah,
Yeah, that's
so I'm
great.
excited about it.
So fun, Missy.
Hmm,
All right.
Nothing else, get
It's
out.
ridiculous.
Meeting's adjourned, no votes. no
Peace.
Robert's rules.
Yeah,
They up.
So do the kids do.
We're supposed to move